Today I'm reacting to your Monday Night Raw Hot Takes. Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether they're good thoughts, bad thoughts, or everything in between about the world of professional wrestling. So if you'd like to have your thoughts featured in the next episode of Hot Takes, make sure that you're following me on X because I ask for your hot take after every episode of Raw, SmackDown, and every WWE Premium Live event. By the way, I'm back from vacation, which is why I'm not wearing the same thing that I wore over the last 3 videos. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know you're going to fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And don't forget, if you want even more wrestling content, to come check out the Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZap, where we upload about 12 to 13 more videos every single week that never appear on YouTube. Go check it out, patreon.com/SantiZap, link in the description or link in the pinned comment. Let's read your stupid shit. The women's War Games match that they teased at the end of Raw tonight seemed incredibly rushed. In my eyes, War Games was meant to be Team Liv versus Team Rhea, but then when Rhea got hurt, they had to scramble to make something make sense, which is what we got. So I agree with you. I also think that this feels very rushed, very disorganized, and I think it's because of the reason that you stated. I also am of the mind that the original plan was probably Team Rhea Ripley versus Team Liv Morgan. Real life circumstances happen, so WWE has to scramble. It happens. That being said, let me get the positives out of the way because I'm very critical of this formation of a War Games match if this does end up being the women's War Games match. The talent in this match is insane. If they were looking for a last minute creation of a women's main event type match for War Games, this is it. Like, the talent is absolutely nutty. And because the talent is absolutely nutty, the match is probably going to be absolutely insane. Listen, in terms of gimmick PLEs and gimmick matches, think of Royal Rumbles, think of Money in the Bank, think of Elimination Chamber. The women's match has always been better than the men's. And based on the talent that's likely going to be in this match, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case again. But, and I'm gonna be a wrestling nerd for a bit here, the teams, if this is the divide of the teams, makes absolutely no fucking sense, folks. Let's talk about the heels for a second. Are you really going to have both top world champions on the same War Games team? Why would you do that? It's a lose-lose situation. It's a lose situation because it either entirely spoils that the heels are going to win, because why in the world would you have both women's champions be part of the same team if not to win? Imagine Gunther and Cody being on the same team and losing. That would be absolutely bananas. Or if you want to swerve the world and have the team with the 2 women's world champions lose, then you just absolutely demolish the aura of the 2 women's champions in one fell swoop. It's a bad idea. The saving grace of that mix of 2 champions within the War Games cage is the fact that you have the trump card in Tiffany Stratton, who has the Money in the Bank briefcase, who could create a really weird and a really unique moment in cashing in on either champion mid-War Games match. That would be insane and would actually be more unique and better than what they could have potentially done at Crown Jewel. So that is a bit of a saving grace there. But if I'm Nia Jax, why in the world would I want to team up with the person that I just feuded with in Liv Morgan? Why would I want to team up with Raquel Rodriguez, who cost me the match against Liv Morgan? Why would I want to be trapped in a cage with the one woman who I've been abusing and harassing and could take the championship away from me at any moment? There's just a lot of irregularities in the formation of that heel team. But there's also plenty of irregularities over on the women's babyface side, because why in the world would Io Sky and Bianca Belair want to be teammates with one another? Especially if I'm Bianca Belair. I would despise Io Sky for everything that Damage Control and Io Sky put her through. Don't forget that Io was also the one that took the championship away from Bianca Belair in the first place and screwed her time after time after time. They should hate each other. They basically went through a blood feud. And if this does end up being a 5v5, the logical 5th person to add to the baby faces is Bayley, who has problems with both Bianca and Io Sky. So there's a lot of problems in the formation of the babyface side. And look, if they are going to go with this route, then I better see these women absolutely hate each other. They better not be cohesive. They better not be buddies, because they need to respect the things that have happened in storytelling within the past year. It's not like we're talking about like a decade ago. We're talking about things that happened as recently as less than 12 months ago that should not be forgotten in the formation of this team. Otherwise, you're insulting insulting the intelligence of your wrestling fans. So I think the formation of these teams is wild, borderline ludicrous, but we'll see, because I think the match is going to be fantastic and there's still several weeks to flesh out something here. The women's War Games makes literally zero sense. I'm not mad at it because it looks like a great match, but Io doesn't like Bianca and Nia doesn't like Liv, so why are they teaming? I know I just went off about this, but that's a great question. The why are they teaming is the one thing that they really need to answer on Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown, because right now it does seem like a match out of the sake of convenience because you need a women's War Games match, and I don't want that because that's unfair for the women's main event scene. There should be a good cohesive reason, a logical reason as to why all of these women want to team up together, because right now that's almost like my only complaint about this. Unfortunately, I think it's a very valid one and a very big complaint, but again, they've got several weeks to flesh this out. Fingers crossed that they do. I do believe that the War Games match needs the fifth guy. While narratively Bloodline versus Bloodline is great, it still needs an extra edge as a match to match the chaos of last year's Survivor Series. Leaves room for surprise returns or debuts or a mystery partner. I disagree entirely. Like, I do believe that Bloodline versus Bloodline is more than enough as a storytelling mechanism and as a main event. I don't think that you need to overcomplicate this, especially because anybody that you add that hasn't been part of this narrative, like the 8 men that are actually already confirmed for this match is just going to feel like a bit of a sore thumb and is always going to feel like an outsider. Does this open up the possibility of shock returns, shock debuts? Sure. I'm not disagreeing with that fact, but I just feel like the WWE has spent plenty of time and a lot of tender love and care on the Bloodline saga where it doesn't need to rely on that in any way, shape, or form. I feel like just Bloodline versus Bloodline is enough. And it's creating unnecessary discontent amongst fans who are going, well, Seth Rollins, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, Cody Rhodes, that doesn't make any sense. Kevin Owens, that doesn't make any sense either. It's just going to force fans to look at try and make logic sense out of whoever it is that they pick. And in the process, I feel like they're going to see that it's illogical. Whatever. Look, I'm of the mind that the match is going to be great either way, whether it's 4v4 or 5v5. All I'm saying is that it seems like an unnecessary overcomplication when the majority of War Games matches in the past have already just been 4v4. Cody should not be in the War Games match. At least from what I can tell, it doesn't even look like Cody Rhodes is going to be on the War Games card, which is kind of crazy. Perhaps he has a match with Kevin Owens. Maybe he's a special guest referee for Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton if that ends up happening. But out of all of the things that he could do, the one thing I don't want to see him in is another War Games match where he's helping the Bloodline or fighting the Bloodline yet again. I'm good without seeing Cody versus the Bloodline for the umpteenth millionth time. There's so many different stories and feuds that I want to see Cody Rhodes explore while he's the WWE Undisputed Champion that were taken away from if he just keeps going back to the story with the same people that have always been a part of it. So I hope Cody Rhodes is on the show. I just hope it's not in the War Games match. Bloodline War Games should not be 5-on-5, but should be 4-on-4. That is all about blood and family and OG versus new. Yeah, that's kind of the point that I'm making here, right? Like, it's got everything already. It's got all of the drama. It's already got all of the right people. Trying to scramble to find even more star power seems like diminishing returns when the star power of this match is already pretty damn high as it is. But hey, it's going to at the very least give us some story building drama as both teams try to court Seth Rollins, as both teams try to find a fifth member. Maybe Seth Rollins does join the baby faces and then the fifth member of the evil ones is a brand new debuting Bloodline member, or maybe it's just the shock surprise return of The Rock a la Randy Orton where his music didn't hit until it was actually time for him to come out. He wasn't out there in the cage. There are things that you could do to manipulate this to make this more interesting. All I'm saying is that it's already incredibly interesting. I'm happy that she's back. Man, I miss Dakota Kai. I'm also very happy that she's back. I feel like women's wrestling is better with Dakota Kai. I'm weirdly seeing a lot of Dakota Kai hate. A lot of people saying that she's overrated, that we don't need her anymore. I think that you're crazy. I think that you're wrong. I think Dakota Kai is amazing. I think that, like I said, I feel like women's wrestling is better with Dakota Kai. I just hope that she can stay healthy. That just seems to be a pretty regular problem with Dakota Kai, which is just longevity in the ring. Santi, it's that time where you and I go on that walk again. SummerSlam 2025. Cinema will be created. Dude, this is just Triple H just flexing, dude. Just reminding us of all of the crazy dream matches that you can have with just Jacob Fatu alone, because they're just going to keep having him do confrontations and face-offs against people that he could have amazing matches with in the future. And this is just another one of those, because, oh my God, dude, Seth Rollins versus Jacob Fatu would be an absolute money banger of a match. SummerSlam 2025, deal. I'm good with that. Give me that. I'm good with it. Dude. Oh, this is awesome, dude. Oh, wow. Unreal. Wow. Oh! That, folks, was a sneak peek of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club, available exclusively over on patreon.com/SantiZap. This week, we're looking at the Cruiserweight Classic fantastic match between Kota Ibushi and Cedric Alexander. We have the crowning of Jeff Hardy in a triple threat match between Jeff Hardy, Edge, and Triple H at Armageddon 2008 for the WWE Championship. We have a match from overseas in Japan between Julia and Sari at Marigold Summer of Destiny 2024. And another triple threat match for the WWE Championship, this time between DX members Triple H and Shawn Michaels taking on John Cena. You're getting all of these watch-alongs, plus all of the over 100 watch-alongs that are already up and available on the Patreon, plus the Raw reviews, plus the SmackDown reviews, plus the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days early, plus the Undertaker Streak watch-along that we're starting now, as well as the Royal Rumble watch-along that we're already into the 2000s with. All of that and more available on patreon.com/SantiZap. I'm confident that if you even give it 1 month that you're going to fall in love with it, because we just upload so much great content over there, more than we upload here on YouTube, and content that just simply can never appear on YouTube. So go check it out. Try for a month. That's it. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment. Let's get back to the video. The Ludwig Kaiser turn is inevitable. I think that we could see it as early as Survivor Series when he potentially cost Gunther. He's really come into his own lately and deserves a singles push away from Gunther. You could see it as soon as Survivor Series. Oh, sweet young summer child. Have you not been around for Triple H babyface / heel turns and how long they take? You know how often we thought that the Austin Theory turn was happening? They're still going with that. You see how long we've been waiting for Xavier Woods to turn on Kofi Kingston? Still hasn't happened. We're still waiting on that. And you think that in 3 weeks they're going to turn Ludwig Kaiser? Oh, you have a lot to learn, my friend. No, they're going to drag this out, and it might never happen. It might just straight up never happen. Do I think that Ludwig Kaiser deserves a singles push? Sure. I don't think that it has to be away from Gunther. I'm not necessarily married to. I feel like you could absolutely do something with Ludwig Kaiser as a single star, even if he's a part of Imperium, because it's not as if Imperium as a whole is this like unit that is always together. They have their matches individually already as is, and even their stories and promos are individualized as well. So you can still have the pairing together as part of Imperium and both still have blossoming singles career without necessarily having one turn on the other. This is just plain rude to Dom. He is so much smarter than a fifth grader. Look, obviously people are going to continue to hate on Dominic Mysterio. The dude has the greatest life ever, an incredibly sexy individual who has just got this gravitational pull of Riz, who's just bringing in all of the prettiest women in the world of the WWE. You want to say he's dumber than a fifth grader? I say that you're the dumb one, all right? You're stupid for holding that sign. You're stupid for thinking that Dominic Mysterio isn't an absolutely brilliant individual. Clearly he is. Also, the fifth graders on Who's Smarter Than a Fifth Grader are actually pretty smart. Just saying. I don't understand why a lot of people are upset about Gunther versus Priest 2. The build heading into SummerSlam and the match itself were both great for part 1. Fair. I'm also of the mind that it's probably going to be a really good match, but I don't want to dismiss people's criticism of it, because this is Gunther's third straight feud for the title with a match that we've already seen in 2024 alone. This feud against Randy Orton, we'd already seen it. The feud against Sami Zayn, we'd already seen it. And now we're running back another replay of Gunther feuds in 2024 with Damian Priest. I get the strategy though, and I like it. I like the strategy of removing all of the doubts of Gunther, which is the doubt of beating Randy, the doubt of losing to Sami Zayn, and the doubt that he could beat Damian Priest on his own, so that then he can go off on his own, having brand new matches, brand new feuds as an incredibly dominant champion without a single question mark about his reign. They massacred my ring general. Here's the thing. I love the angle that they took about Gunther not really being fully mentally there, because I can believe that. How many times have we seen it been replayed over and over again? The babyface with the hurt ribs, the hurt arm, the hurt shoulder, who still physically overcomes everything to get the win. We've seen that shtick get played out with Cody Rhodes pretty much every other month. However, I like the sports psychology angle because that's a realistic one. Gunther is a physical machine. Trying to hinder him with a hurt rib or a shoulder just isn't a very appealing angle because it just doesn't really put him in any kind of danger. But having this absolute monstrous machine all of a sudden have mental doubts about his abilities, I think that that's brilliant and realistic in the world of sports, where you can have the best of the best professional athletes have an off night, an off week, an off month because they're not mentally there and they're doubting themselves. And that works with Gunther here. And it also adds new layers to his character to the point where he doesn't just feel like this funny Terminator that roasts people. Now he's a dude. Now he's a human. Now he's a bit more relatable because everybody can go and relate to what Gunther is going through, which is just lack of self-esteem and just self-doubt in general. I'd hire an epileptic baby as my bodyguard before I'd hire Raquel, because what the fuck does she even do? Yeah, like that's a totally fair statement to make because yeah, dude, the woman that was brought in to be this badass bodyguard is just getting bodied by everyone in the women's roster. She's no more intimidating than Liv Morgan, and her job was to be the intimidation factor for Liv Morgan. Sexiest man alive. Yeah, you get it. You understand. You understand where everything is going. You understand the vision here. Karrion Kross has gotten a lot better lately. His promos are very interesting to watch, and now I love when he's on screen. I've been a massive Karrion Kross detractor. You already know this, but I'm coming around, dude. This is very entertaining. The thing that's going on between Karrion Kross, The Miz, and the Wyatt Six, that was one of my favorite segments of this entire episode of Monday Night Raw. I love the tomfoolery between the Final Testament and The Miz putting on this show that they're gonna break The Miz's legs to force the Wyatt Six to come out of hiding, and then they beat up the Wyatt Six. I thought it was great. I loved Uncle Howdy laughing at the end. I just loved everything that happened in that segment. I loved that The Miz stayed heel. I loved that the Final Testament stood tall. I loved that the Wyatt Six, even in getting destroyed, still had this maniacal aura about them because they were laughing as the Final Testament stood tall. I'm here for this. I'm curious what it's going to be. It's likely going to be a multi-person match on a Raw, maybe a traditional Survivor Series match, but I don't see that either. Either way, I'm interested, I'm invested, and that's more than I can typically say about most things involving Karrion Kross. Bronson Reed has to win his next match against Seth. I don't know what he does if he doesn't beat him. Given the new bloodline being told off by Seth, something is happening. He's finally going to get near and in the main event air. It's all well deserved. So I agree with you that Bronson Reed needs to beat Seth Rollins. But I'm concerned, all right? I am concerned because it's likely going to be a victory because of the new bloodline getting involved and causing Seth Rollins to lose to Bronson Reed. Here's the thing, that just happened. Like literally the exact same thing just happened between Braun Breaker and Jey Uso. Braun Breaker, because of the new bloodline, wins the Intercontinental Championship, and it just hasn't felt like he was elevated from that victory. And I think part of the reason was because it was something that was bigger than Braun Breaker. It was to elevate a bigger story that Braun Breaker is not a part of, the bloodline story. And I don't want that to happen to Bronson Reed. I don't want Bronson Reed to be an afterthought of something else bigger than him, because then it doesn't serve what we're trying to do with Bronson Reed, which is to put him in the main event. Because if you make him an afterthought to the main event, then you're not really making him a main eventer. I don't know. I'm just concerned. I'm just voicing my concern out loud here. What was all the hype for the 10th year of the New Day? So I also thought that the 10th year anniversary for the New Day was supposed to be on this episode. I guess it wasn't. I did confirm that they said that it's going to happen at some episode of Monday Night Raw, likely somewhere in November, because the 10th year is officially November 28th. But yeah, I also thought that this episode was supposed to be it, and I just thought that they forgot about it or scrapped it. But as far as I know, it's still happening. Dom cooked Finn. Yes, he he did. This was great. This was Dominic Mysterio not getting punked, because how many times have we seen Dominic Mysterio have to tuck his tail between his legs and hide behind Rhea Ripley? This time he stood tall to Finn Balor. Not only did he stand tall to Finn Balor, but he kind of little broed Finn Balor's attempt at little broing Dominic Mysterio. This is maybe the most serious and the most manly that I've seen Dominic Mysterio really throughout like his character as part of the Judgment Day. I love that he cooked Finn. I love that he honestly kind of looked like the leader of Judgment Day in this entire segment. This man, I think he may be the OG Bloodline's 5th member, given that both Roman and Punk are Paul Heyman guys, and Punk did confront the new Bloodline when #SmackDown was in Chicago before he got attacked by McIntyre later on. This is plausible at best, but it's not far-fetched. This isn't terrible. In some way, shape, or form, like I see this, especially if somehow Seth Rollins ends up joining the other guys. Like, let's say Seth Rollins somehow ends up joining with Solo Sikoa. Imagine Punk on this side of the equation going up against Seth Rollins. Dude, that would actually be nuts. I don't see it, but the connection is there, the Paul Heyman connection. There is no relevant storyline for the Women's War Games match since the fumble of PFC, as now WWE needs to combine the main event women from both rosters to set up the match. So that's my WWE conspiracy. My WWE conspiracy was that they were trying to build up PFC to be the big bads of Monday Night Raw, to be part of War Games, and it didn't work. So they had to scramble and come up with something new. I miss Drew McIntyre. Me too, dude. Me too. All right, folks, thanks so much for watching this episode of Hot Takes. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Get out of here.